It says I'm live. I hope everything is working okay. I'd like to make that chat a bit bigger, but we'll do our best. So Johnny Kelly, you're very welcome. Yeah, we'll talk about banjo strings in a minute. I'm going to play a couple of jigs first, or certainly one. This is called The Woods of Old Limerick. If you're tuning in from Ireland, you know how hot it is. I assume it's hot everywhere. Just going to turn up my vocal mic a little bit. Self-monitoring. So I hope everybody's Sunday is going good. If you're in America, good morning. Grab a cup of coffee. If you're in Ireland, good afternoon. If you're in Ireland, you're probably outside because it's like 25 degrees. And I think the last day of the heat wave. So I'm taking a little break from sunbathing. To come in and just play some tunes. I've got a bunch of banjos here, so we might play a little bit on a few different things. And Joseph Kelly was wondering about banjo strings. So here's what I use. Now essentially I'm using Elixir, the nano webs. So they're the coated strings, so they'll just last a lot longer. And I use that on the E string, the D string, and for me a low A or a low G, but a low A string. They don't make a wound A string. I've asked them, and they said, "Who are you?" And they said, "Go away." So I use a wound A string, a nickel wound. The one that I'm using for the last number of years is the D'Addario or D'Addario XL. So it's an electric guitar string. And I use it in an 18 wound. 17 sounds really nice, but it's just a little on the light side, and I think it tends to break a bit too easy. So an 18. So I have an 11 on the top string, an 18 wound nickel on the A, and then my D string then is a 26. And because I tune up to A, I use a 32 for my lowest string. If I was tuning to G all of the time, I'd probably use something as high as a 36, so there's just a little bit more tension, and you won't get that wobbly intonation when you get up to fret 5. But I find the 32 is just right. And this is a Clarine Oyster. Absolutely loving the mid-tones in this at the moment. It just has that sweet spot around the A string. I think is just, it's remarkably nice. And the biggest issue that I always have, because I tune E, A, D, A, I'm largely in open A tuning and open D. I don't have that resonant G, so I have one dead spot on the banjo, which is the G note on the D string. So I have this dream of finding a way to run a ghost G string somewhere through the neck of the banjo, like they do on the 5-string banjos with where the 5th string is hidden in the neck. Anyway, that's a daft idea, but I think it could work. So who knows? So somebody, Oliver, likes the double string triplets. Man, they're my absolute favorite thing. And I didn't develop them, but when I did an album in I think it was 2006 with Paul Brock, and he was playing on melodeon. And because melodeon only has one row of notes, to do a triplet or a roll, and so instead of doing the melodeon does 2 notes together, and they kind of go back and over between the 2. And to emulate that on the banjo, the best way I could find was to do a double string. It makes it a lot of fun to play, for me, at any rate. That reminds me... The Lock. That I woke up with that tune in my head this morning. Fabulous tune. The first tune we did on that album was Airden Go Bra. And that was where Paul would do that, the trill, that tremolo roll that happened, and it was D sharp and D major, D and F sharp. And so when the 2 fingers going on the melodeon, and to emulate that on the banjo, double string triplet. Which is brilliant. It's just such good fun to play. I had an opportunity in June to play with Diarmuid O'Macker, who won the T.G. Carr Young Musician of the Year last year, and he's a melodeon and accordion player. And we played down in Dungarvan, and he played the melodeon, and we were we were geeking out on the double strings. It was brilliant. It was like really highly enjoyable. Good afternoon from Bonnie, Scotland, indeed. I hope the weather is beautiful up there as well. And Lar says, enjoying tuning the low string to A. Yeah, do you know what? I've been doing it since I was 11 years old, because I had to learn how to play Funk the Cajun Blues. And I couldn't figure out how to do the bridging because my hand was too small. Tuned it up to A, and the rest is history. And just all of those lovely chords. Not that one. So I love playing in the key of D, and I love playing in the key of A. And I have just got that gorgeous resonance that's happening in the banjo. And let's say a tune like the Connacht Man's Rambles. It was normally in the key of D. But it's a great tune in the key of A. It's my new thing now at the moment, is playing tunes in the keys that they're not supposed to be in. A bit annoying to people that are playing in the sessions with me, but it's good fun. Playing that tune in the key of A, and your C sharp in regular tuning would be this big crazy stretch that I'm not able to do. But by tuning up to A, your C sharp is here, and it's just lovely and convenient. Plus you have an open A string. making a great case for tuning your G up to A. I just think the banjo resonates with itself way better. It's the whole thing just kind of sits up and sings. So just for something completely different, or a little bit different at any rate, this is a Clarion Satanta, and I have this quite a number of years. This is one of the originals that Clarion made. It's number 3 or 4, I think, in the series. Excuse me. And beautiful walnut all over. Weighs a metric ton. Has its own gravitational field. Pretty confident. It never really sang properly as a tenor banjo in Irish tuning. And so I've been messing around with it for the last couple of years, trying to figure out where to voice it so that it sounds good. And it's currently tuned about a fifth lower than D, so kind of low A tuning, for want of a better phrase. Which gives it a really nice growl. To play. It's so light and the action is so low and everything is just really, really simple to triplet on. And a very gratifying growl as well on the bottom. Mark bought a Satanta at the Fla. Excellent. The new ones are fantastic. The new Clarion banjos are wonderful, and I love the Teflon coating. Great innovation and really good banjos. Yeah, so Hugh, when you tune your G string up to A, the D goes out of tune, and that's just because you're putting extra pressure on the bridge, just by that extra tension, and so a slight, retuning of the D string is absolutely necessary, because there was a time when I had like a flick switch on my lowest string that Tom Cusson, so I could set it to low A and then flick it, so that it would just go between the two tunings from low G to low A. But it didn't really serve any purpose because I would kind of flick it down to the A, but then my D would go out of tune. The idea was that I might be able to, and guitars can do this, where they don't go out of tune. It didn't work on the banjo, unfortunately, but it was a good idea. For minor tunes. Zeppelin or something. Load of fun, and very nice for, you know, kind of slightly different tunes as well. So I was messing around with Angeline the Baker. Need a slightly harder pick for this. That's a lot of fun. I got to play that recently with Junji Shirota, fantastic guitar player from Japan, and Marika Naita. God, I'm probably butchering the name. And a fiddle player from Japan, and we played that, and that was a ton of fun. It really was. James looking for a full tutorial for Funk the Cajun Blues. I mean, yeah, why not? It would that would definitely be one that would have to be tuned. Sorry, that's just so much fun. My goodness. For what it's worth, that's a 1mm Dunlop flow. I use it on the mandolin. So it's a mil thick, so it has that real hardness to it, but it also has a point. So it still has enough to be able to triple it on, because, and I probably won't be able to find it, I do have, you know, like the Wiegand mandolin picks, and they without that point, because they have the rounded edge, they just don't have the same. So they're missing a little bit of that that kind of picky sound for the Irish. So now my eyesight is so bad, I can't make the text any bigger, so I have to lean in. Yeah, this is a fifth, as far as I can tell. Yeah, so what is my D string is a low A. So that's fourth lower than standard. And I haven't really done anything else. It's got, like, the strings are so old, so it's the same strings that have been on this for a number of years. And it sounds so nice that I'm afraid to take them off and change them in case it gets too bright. And it does have this really heavy clothy head. And I haven't done anything with the tension, but just even by pressing it, I would say that the head tension is really low. And that would account for some of that depth of tone as well. Do I have a tenor harp? I don't. I don't have any harp kind of thing, or... there's a type of tuner used on 5 strings, for those flicking back and over. Now, any tips for getting the speed up with reels? Yeah, the speed thing. I mean, this is probably the biggest question. Can I pop out the chat? Yay! Whoever suggested popping out the chat, I appreciate that. Kieran, nice one. Speed. Speed is this is the biggest question. It's always the biggest question. So, a couple of thoughts on it, and I've consulted. I have asked some of the great teachers about this, and they all say this is, it's the biggest question. The simplest answer seems to be that in order to play faster, you need to play faster. So, that's very simple advice. You can start by doing it with just one note. The idea is that you have to force your body to adapt by playing at a speed that's too fast for what you're currently able to play at. So, a couple of just qualifiers for that. You have to have decent technique. So pick, hold, and tension reduction, okay? And a picking pattern that works for you so that it's not stiff, it's not jerky. You can get into the entire world of pick slanting, pick direction. What you want to avoid at all costs is bouncing picking. All right? Where your hand is hopping. And if you want to know more about that, everything that I learned is from Troy Grady, who has just this amazing electric guitar channel and mandolin and bluegrass, and he gets the greats, the Molly Tuttles, and these absolute genius pickers on, and analyzes the shape and position of their hand. Now, a lot of that is pitched at playing at 160, 180, 200 BPM, like crazy fast stuff, which is not relevant at all for Irish music. I mean, think about 120 BPM is a really fast session. If you're playing at 120, you're at full tilt. If you're playing like crazy fast, like Eileen Ivor speed, like that's 150, 160. But that's total edge case. And so it's getting from 90 to 110 seems to be the issue. It's breaking through that 100 BPM barrier. The best thinking that I can come across, the best advice that I can get, is that you just simply play faster. So you put on, my recommendation, put on a CD, put on a YouTube or whatever, put headphones on so that you can't really hear yourself, and then you play along with the music that you're listening to, and you just become immersed in the music that you're playing to, and your body will eventually adapt to playing faster. Once the technique stuff is all in place, that seems to be it. You see, I can go back to, starting banjo when I was 9 years old. And I was just playing. And I didn't know that I was playing fast or slow. I was just playing with everybody else. And then we started going to sessions when I was like 10 or 11 years old. And you just played along with everybody. I wasn't really deeply concerned about missing notes or missing triplets, because at that age you're just like, oh my God, I'm in a pub and I'm playing music and it's so exciting. So you just played and you played and you played and you played. And so that's a kind of a very natural process to getting to where you're able to play at speed. The muscles that are needed to play at speed, they have to develop. There are small twitch muscles that are in your fingers, in your thumb, in your hand, in your wrist, and they will only develop if you play faster. You can practice things like playing one note. So you can and the one note practice is important. Another thing that is on the Troy Grady thing is the table tap. So basically, to set up your metronome at 110, and see, can you tap along with it? The theory is that the speed at which you're able to tap is the speed at which you're able to pick, right? And that's pretty fast. For my money, the one note repetitive playing is very important because it gives you an opportunity to really sink into your mind, sink into your body, and start to feel and understand which muscles are being used when you're picking. There's two different muscles that are being used. So there's a push muscle and a pull muscle. And play around with the angle of your pick, the angle of attack. Play around with the pronation of your hand. Are you leaning on your thumb side, or are you leaning on your karate chop side? Are you completely flat? Play around with that and see which one feels more comfortable and which one gives you more speed. You know, so you're not stuck to, I only place my hand in one position and I can't go any faster in that position. Be willing to change slightly the attack of the pick, the angle of your hand, the placement of your hand, the pronation of your hand. Those things can make a big difference. Ow, that's enough of that. Here's my neckful banjo. Here's something different again. For those of you who haven't seen it before, I'm sure plenty of you have. So this is technically a Plectrum banjo because it's 20 many frets. So this one I tune, when it's open, I tune to C. And there's definitely tuning issues when I'm open. And I should also say that this hasn't had a restring for a while. Now, it's a little bit on the big side for me for playing Irish music with that stretch. This is a really good practice for stretching my fingers. Okay, so everything can be changed. You know, your muscles are plastic, and so you know, if I play for an hour with this open tuning and it's a big stretch, right? And then I go back to my clarine, I feel you know, I have stretched out my hands and I have more flexibility in my left hand for the standard size banjo. This absolutely needs a bit of TLC. Yeah, I need to spend a little bit of time. In actual fact, it's got so warm in the last few weeks that the head has got a little bit on the tight side. So I'm not getting the same depth of resonance that I would normally get out of this banjo. It's lovely in C. I've been playing it in E flat recently, just for a change of pace. Ooh, big tune up needed. Let's try that one again. Pick-wise, this would be a 60mm string joy, because I find this banjo needs a little bit more backbone to the pick. This is Collier's. Collier's reel. This one is remarkably easy banjo to play for triplets. And also as a banjo to record on and to play live, it has a great depth. Really, really great resonance to it, and it has always recorded really, really nicely. Like you get a remarkably warm tone from it. The string spacing is slightly different, and I've got quite a significant angle on the bridge at the moment as well. Just accommodating for all of the intonation stuff. So, what am I working on at the moment? I just put out a video last week for Banished Misfortune, which is definitely one of my favorite jigs. And in an effort to make life incredibly difficult for myself, I recorded the lesson 3 times in a row. on 3 different days. I had a chest infection, and so half of it was coughing, half of it was gasping, and then a lot of it was banjo. But then having to go and edit all 3 lessons, I kind of covered everything over the 3 days, and trying to piece it all together, I made life very, very, very difficult for myself. But I think it's a good overall lesson. We definitely went into a lot of detail on chords. Great feedback on it, because when you're just playing melody banjo, right, you're either going to do the 3-finger method or the 4-finger method. Now, we could talk about that. Excuse me. If I was starting off from scratch, I would definitely learn the 4-finger method so that I would have a strong, long pinky, and I don't. I learned fiddle fingering, and I've been trying to adapt it ever since by using more pinky. Okay. One thing that playing lots of chord shapes in your music does is that it forces, in a way, you to use your fingers in different positions. And by doing that, you're just strengthening your overall flexibility of where your fingers can go, changing up positions, and that, because there's a lot of tunes that banjo just really doesn't suit. And so by being able to play in a completely different position as in where your hand is set up on the banjo, you can make life an awful lot easier for yourself. Here's a blast to Banish Misfortune, and then I'll tell you what I'm working on today. See, it's very, very simple. There's a lot going on there, to be fair. There's a lot going on. And I definitely went into a lot of detail on that. It's a great tune, great tune. So what I'm working on at the moment are 2 slip jigs, or a kind of a slip jig and a hop jig. So the Rocky Road to Dublin. It's a very, very recognizable piece of music, of course, like very famous. But it's a lot of fun to play on the banjo. And again, a lot of it comes down to chords and ornamentation. Great fun tune to play. And so I've also done a tune before it that I recorded with Paul Brock again, called Barney Brannigan's, which is an actual slip jig. thing is always, you know, how can you take something that's really simple, like Barney Brannigan's? It couldn't be a simpler tune, but turn it into something that's interesting to listen to and to play. And often it's through the use of chords, it's expression, dynamic change. And, you know, the more flexibility that you have and your ability to play in all sorts of different positions, that all benefits your overall playing and your overall picking, because you're just building up musculature, I think, essentially, as much as anything else. Oliver, what BPM would a relatively fast jig like that be played in a session? Yeah, I think 120 is pretty fast for a jig, right? Or it'd be very fast for real, but it'd be a reasonable clip at a jig. 120, 130. So you're definitely in the ballpark. I don't have a tap that tempo because I'm using my phone as a camera. All right. I should play a couple of tunes and bid you all farewell. That's Barney Brannigan's and The Rocky Road to Dublin. That should be coming out on YouTube next week sometime, and I start working on the notation for that. And of course my bus tour is coming up on the 30th of September, starting in Ennis, and then we're on to Ennis Diamond for a couple of nights. Lots of very exciting guest musicians. That's the bit I'm most excited. So like every day we have a session and we have guest musicians coming in to play with us in Ennis Diamond, and then 3 nights in Galway City. And yeah, so it's going to be great. This one is sold out. I think there's 35 people coming on the tour. And then there's another tour happening next March, which is booking up at the moment. And that's March, I think, 9 to 16. And again, on that tour, we're going to stay for a couple of nights in a very fancy castle, Markree Castle in Sligo. So that's all with Wild Atlantic Music Tours. So if you fancy checking them out, they've got a ton of tours with loads of different musicians. But mine is very, it's not banjo-centric, but clearly I play the banjo. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it. Do I know Paddy Ryan's Dream? I know that I do, but I need to look it up. You know, I think I played it recently. Yeah, so I do know Paddy Ryan's Dream. Right, so folks, I'm going to play this, and I'll put something after it that I don't know what it is yet. And thank you for watching. While you're here, please hit the subscribe button if you're not already, and notify. much, everybody, for tuning in. Appreciate it. Anyone that's coming on the tour, and I know there's a few people watching that are very excited to meet everybody. I'm going to have a great time. And if you'd like more of these, definitely think I could do one every couple of weeks, if not every Sunday. Why not? I love talking. I love playing the banjo. The two together. Why not? So just let me know in the comments, and absolutely subscribe and all the rest of it. And if you want to learn how to play the banjo, come join me on Patreon. Happy Sunday, everybody. If it's morning time where you are, have a great day. And if you're in Ireland, have a great afternoon.